everybody. Thanks for joining us today evening. Uh, Item number one, call to order. So I call to order City of San Ramon Parks and Community Service Commission regular meeting December 11th on 2024, 7:06 p.m. Item number two, Pledge of Allegiance. Our director, Ms. Hedman, can you please lead us?
Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Item number three, roll call. Madam Clerk, can we please do the roll call?
Thank you. Chair Mitra,
Present.
Vice Chair Breed,
Present.
Commissioner Dorlick,
Present.
Commissioner Keeney,
Present.
Commissioner Levy,
Present.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy is absent this evening, Commissioner Osland,
Present.
and Student Commissioner Chawla. Present. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Item number four, special items announcements. Recognition of Teen Council Outstanding Teen Citizen for 2024, Kenneth Sharif, introduced by Education Commissioner Jessica Reber and presented by Tanishka Chawla, Teen Council Chair.
Good evening, Chair Mitra and Commission members. Thanks so much for having us here this evening. You know that the Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award has been a longstanding program and activity that we've run at the Teen Council. It's always great to get all the submissions from the teens that are doing excellent work in our community. And tonight, I want to hand it over to our student chair to be able to talk to you a little bit about this year's winner. So I'll hand it over.
Thank you so much. So for this year, our Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award winner is Kenneth Surup, a senior at Doherty Valley High School. Kenneth has made an extraordinary impact through his work with Books for Barrios, a nonprofit organization which is committed to improving education in disadvantaged communities. In the past year, Kenneth focused his efforts in Bangsamoro, a region in the Philippines facing significant educational challenges. His work directly benefited 2,000 children and contributed to the opening of 8 new schools in the Philippines. Kenneth partnered with over 25 elementary schools across 4 local school districts, including 10 schools within the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. These partnerships resulted in the donation of 15,000 books and thousands of dollars worth of school supplies. Locally, Kenneth's efforts freed up library storage space in San Ramon schools, allowing for the introduction of new educational resources. He promoted sustainability by repurposing unused books, reducing waste, and supporting the city's green initiatives. His work helped lower storage costs for local schools, enabling them to redirect funds towards other educational needs. Kenneth's dedication fostered community engagement and strengthened San Ramon's commitment to education, sustainability, and global citizenship. And his efforts made San Ramon a better place to live, learn, and grow. So thank you so much, Kenneth, for all your work, and we would love to present you with this year's award.
Kenneth? Yeah. Kenneth, do you want to say something?
Yeah, say so.
I just want to say thank you for everyone for supporting me, helping a cause that not only makes an impact to our community in San Ramon, but also make an impact worldwide. And I really appreciate everyone here for that. So thank you so much.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kenneth and Jessica. All right. Item number 4.2, temporary employee of the month for the last month, October. The winner is Warren Paledo, presented by Representative Coordinator Rhiannon Thomas.
Good evening, commissioners and members of the public. This evening, it's my pleasure to present to you the San Ramon Parks and Community Service Department Temporary Employee of the Month for the month of October, Warren Pelato. Warren received his degree in Bachelor of Fine Arts from San Jose State University. After that, he joined us here at the city of San Ramon in the summer of 2023 with the addition of the Doherty Station Community Arts Center. Aside from being great to work with and just in general, a huge asset for the arts program, with his knowledge, Warren is being recognized tonight for his innate ability to engage local businesses and establish partnerships that resulted in ultimately around $2,000 in-kind donations for our juried art event, which is currently on display until the 18th at Lindsay Dirks Brown. At this point in time, we just want to thank Warren for all the great work that he does for the arts programs, and yeah, that's fine.
It's
Amazing. Thank you,
And
sir.
as also a special cup.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay. Do you want to say something?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ree. Round of applause for Ree.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I'd like to humbly accept this certificate. And it truly is important to help advocate, support, and promote the arts for the community. Essentially, a rising tide lifts all boats. With great leaders and peers such as Adam Chow, Ree Thomas, and the rest of these individuals that sit in front of me, it really allows for me to try to meet your golden standard. And for that, I thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Item number 4.3, Temporary Employee of the Month of November, Andrea Wediver, presented by Recreation Supervisor Jessica Reber.
It's great to see you all again. It is really a pleasure to be here tonight, a great evening to recognize our part-time staff. And I would like to recognize, I'll come to the side, Andrea Whatever. She actually came to us as a docent in 2019 at Forest Home Farms. And she was always very flexible, stepped in when, someone couldn't be there, was a great tour guide for us, and just always had a really great warmth about her and really loved the program. And that turned into her sharing with us, if there's ever a position open, let me know. So then in August of 2023, she joined the team as an activity manager, and she was helping us with some of the education components and also taking care of our Saturday programs. We have a very healthy Fun on the Farm program every Saturday where we get everywhere from 30 people to 100, 200, and at our bigger events, 1,200 people. And so she's been really crucial in that, as well as learning from the person in the previous position of program specialist, which she has stepped into. So she was taking on that as well, helping our TK programs get back off the ground. And because of her dedication, because of her warmth, and making sure that everyone has what they need, not a single step was missed from last school year to this school year. She has stepped in and gone above and beyond in making sure that our programs continue to run smoothly, that everyone feels greeted, from the teachers to the students and our docents especially. So she helps to take our program from just a recreation program that happens in the community to a community in and of itself. And for that, we want to present her with this today.
From the city as well as the department. For you, and there's a cup for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you so much for this honor. Getting to work with all of the staff, the volunteers, the teachers, and the students is a true joy in my life. The program that we have at Forest Home Farms is so wonderful, and it's such an honor to get to be a leader in that program. So thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any special announcements?
We always have special
Yeah.
announcements. I always have lots of things to share with you. So First off, and most importantly, the Santa mailbox in the Rotunda is active. So any kids out there with last minute wishes need to get their letters in the box by December 18th.
I put mine in last night.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Also, this is very exciting news too. We have a tentative date for the library public art dedication. So if you remember, that's the pole with the kind of stained glass book shaped
yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
And we approved that a very, very long time ago. It is finally being installed. So we are tentatively planning on January 11th at 11 a.m. So we'll confirm that date, but since I'm not going to see you and we've got the holidays, I just kind of wanted to toss that out there so you could all consider putting that on your calendar. And as long as we're talking about January, we have a new date for culture in the community. So if you weren't following all that, with the changes, we moved it up to the Doherty Station Community Arts Center. And it is now scheduled for Sunday, January 26th in the afternoon. So again, something to note on your calendars as you're planning for the future. And then finally, I know we've been trying to schedule this workshop with the Historic Foundation and the consultants, and it has become a bit of a challenge trying to get all the schedules to match. So right now we are focused on Monday, March 24th. So if anybody has an issue with that date, please try and let us know ASAP. It would be great if we could have the full commission at this particular workshop. This is a big project. It's a big deal. And we really do need to have everyone's voice if possible. So
What was that date again, please?
yeah,
24th
Monday,
March.
March 24th.
2025?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Perfect. And then as just a quick reminder, we do close the Parks and Community Services facilities between Christmas and New Year's. That's been our practice, I don't know, for the last 10 years or so. There will be staff working in some of the buildings, but we just closed the front counters because we had done an analysis and discovered like at most we had one person come in and it was kind of a waste. So it's a great time for people to take time off if they want it. So if you do have a problem, issue, or question, just call me directly and I will figure out how to help you. So I'll forward my office phone and I'll have my cell phone with me. So, and then lastly, you all noticed Keith is filling in for Brad today. So, which is perfect because as we go into the fee reso, he's right there and ready to answer questions if you guys
Cool.
have them. And then just a few upcoming events to make sure you know about them. The December 14th, the holiday book sale at the San Ramon Main Library. Also on that same day, that's Library Day, is the winter holiday celebration at the Doherty Station Library. So both are going. On December 15th, we have the San Ramon Community Chorus Holiday Concert. December 19th, this is a good one. This is the holiday variety show at the Senior Center at 1:30. So that if you've never been to that, that is a hoot. Very fun. And then December 20th is a great evening to go enjoy the San Ramon Symphonic Band Holiday Concert. They always do a great job.
What was the last date? I'm sorry. That's right. So,
December 20th.
thank you.
Are you going to talk about Spark?
Yes.
I have that in my other notes, but
Oh, no, well, go ahead.
Well, I will jump ahead. Well, I'm going to mention it at the rec report, but
Okay,
the Spark partnership, that is the, let's see, Shakespeare and Performing Arts Regional Center. We have a partnership with them. So they are doing a holiday soiree at 7 p.m. at the Front Row Theater on the 15th as well. And that is going to be a lightly staged reading.
Hmm.
So it's also $35 tickets and you get them on the Spark website.
that's part of the Livermore Shakespeare Company,
Yes.
which if you've been to any of their performances at the, at the wineries in the Livermore wine country, you know how professional
Yeah.
and how excellent their performances are. So kudos to Adam for getting that arranged and getting that on the docket. They are looking for other dates and other venues to bring more of the Shakespeare to and readings to San Ramon. So keep a lookout for that.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's it. Now I'm
That's it.
done.
All right. Thank you. All right. Item number 5, public comments or written communications. At this time, members of the public are encouraged to address the Parks and Community Services Commission at any item not already included in tonight's agenda. Comments should not exceed more than 3 minutes. During public comments, members of the public are permitted to address commission on the items that are not on the agenda and are within the commission's jurisdiction. No commission action can be taken at this meeting on issues raised during this public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, moving on. Item number 6, approval of the minutes. So we are looking at meeting on November 13, 2024. Hope everybody had a chance to take a look at it. Is there any comment, corrections, changes from anybody?
I'll move to approve the minutes from the meeting of November 13th.
All right. Yes, Will. All right. Thank you, everybody. Item number 7, commission business. 7.1, indoor facility rental program update recommendations to receive the report and provide feedback. Presented by Recreation Supervisor Michael Pinelli. Thank you.
Good evening, Parks and Community Services Commissioners. Tonight, we will review the presentation on the indoor facility rental program update. I wanted to thank everybody for receiving the report, and tonight's PowerPoint will kind of summarize and provide any key findings that were incorporated within the staff report. So our first slide here, we're just highlighting obviously our 4 community centers. And I did note on the slide the most recent renovation completed at each one of the facilities. So we'll notice Doherty Station Community Arts Centers most recently renovated in 2022. The San Ramon Community Center has received a renovation in 2019. Alcosta Senior and Community was renovated in 2018. And our Amador Rancho Center has not yet required a renovation as we opened in April 2015. So in working in unison with the facility rental program, it's essential that our program staff and our facility staff collaborate quarterly, if not more frequently than that. The reason being is we do accept rentals up to 12 months out in advance. And as many of you are aware, we do have a programming session winter, spring, summer, fall. So our objective is really to prevent programming conflicts and ensure scheduling efficiencies and identify any conflicts that we may need to adjust in time. As the rental program allows the opportunities to be submitted up to 1 year in advance, that also allows us the opportunity to evaluate the best places for our programming based on the type of program, demographics, and also the size and scope of what's required. So I just wanted to clarify that our staff is has a very good process in order to make sure that the facilities are used in an equitable manner, but also we take into consideration consolidation of facilities. We don't really open one up for one program and have empty space in another location. So that's another one of our main objectives to try to accommodate. For the program, we're obviously always looking to make enhancements, take customer feedback, field suggestions, and as a result, I bullet pointed 4 major program enhancements that we were going to touch on tonight. The first being promotional bundle packages, new rental equipment, upgraded technology, and a planning pod booking software, which I will help describe shortly. In terms of the bundled packages, these are 6, 8, and 10-hour packages. This slide here specifically highlights the most prominent bundled package offered at each of the facilities. So they're ranging in capacities of up to 250 people for like a dining and also 150 dining at the Eminent Rancho Center, which is slightly smaller. We also do have outdoor facilities that we link to the bundles. So there's opportunity in the courtyard at Doherty Station Community Arts. There is a Bella Vista patio, and there's also the Rose Garden at the Santa Ramon Community Center. So what this program really does is it tries to provide value to the customer to use additional space above and beyond the rental space to try to expand their event. And at the same time, by filling more facility space, we're offering the promotional bundle package at a discounted rate to facilitate more room use and better value for a reservation. So these are open to residents and non-residents at different rates. The resident has the priority rate, and they're basically based on the hourly rate as posted in the fee resolution, with the caveat that the bundled package will never exceed a 20% discount. So some of the audio-visual enhancements that we've incorporated into our built-in PA systems include preset amplifiers customized to the room acoustics. We have wireless lapel microphones, mixing consoles, Bluetooth-enabled digital processors, wireless lapel microphones. We do have surround sound, multiple sources, including XLR plug and play. We have projection screens. We have built-in permanent monitors for plug and play. So these have been very useful in facilitating presentations, meetings, anything along those sorts of needs. So we do offer the indoor or the permanent sound equipment as a add-on to the rental, but these are indeed included with the bundle package. So if you don't have the bundle, you could still use some of the AV enhancements. There's just a per-use fee, which helps us obviously with the maintenance and uptake. In addition, another enhancement, we've included some new facility rental equipment. We do a very good job at maintaining its inventory annually, removing equipment that is maybe hazardous or it's worn down. We have a strategic plan to replace equipment. If we can't do everything at once, we have incorporated a 5-year plan within the operating budget to address a portion of it in incremental stages. But the highlights that we have focused on recently were new portable bars for facility rentals. We've also upgraded our outdoor seating, and we've added cocktail tables to all 4 of the community centers. So these were a lot of enhancements based on feedback from community surveys and also from our post-event rental survey, which we'll touch on shortly. So the Planning Pod software that I mentioned earlier, this is actually a software specific for facility bookings. And what it does is it allows the customer the opportunity to engage with staff via a portal. So they're able to upload pertinent documents. They're able to communicate with staff. They're able to actually see their room schematic and make changes themselves and submit. It also allows them to design their own floor plan if they wanted to do that. So there's many options within this software that maybe helps with expediting the rental process, takes a little bit of the load off the staff, and it empowers the customer to engage. So we've been very happy with what we've been able to do with it. It's consistently been a source of an aid for our building attendant staff, because during the events, they actually have access to the software, and there's checklists on the tabs, and they're able to verify all requirements, documentation, any specific day of event notes that the customer may have left with our full-time staff. So it's been extremely helpful in communicating with day of event customers. So establishing fees for our rentals, for our facilities, basically, we do this annually, as we'll get to obviously the next item on the agenda tonight. But I just wanted to make note that we primarily use our local municipalities, Walnut Creek, Danville, Dublin, Pleasanton, Livermore. There's a couple more in there, but I primarily wanted to focus on Dublin and Livermore, primarily because they have the most like facility sizes. And when I mention that, it's in terms of room size, capacities, exactly what they use their specific rooms for, and their rental programs are most similar to ours. So what we do is we conduct an annual survey that evaluates their rates and compares them against one another's and obviously ours, and we kind of see where San Ramon sits on that scale. And that information helps us make recommendations to what we should be doing with our fees, if anything. What we've noticed is that consistently San Ramon is in the top 1, 2, or 3. We're always not, our goal is to not be the highest, obviously, but we want to remain competitive. So it's been useful to use that as a measuring stick for fee recommendations. We incorporated a post-event rental survey, which goes out to our customers after the event, and this goes out through our software Civic Rec. Initially, when we started the survey, we weren't getting a whole lot of participation, so we went ahead and took a look at what we might do to increase our feedback. We started off with way too many questions. I believe we had up to 18 questions, so we've reduced that down to 5, and as a result, our participation has jumped from 20 to 33%. And the good news is, of the completed surveys, we've received 4 or 5 ratings on 88%, and that 88% was consistent since July 1 this fiscal year as well, even though the surveys increased. So seems like we have a pretty good standard that staff is maintaining, which is good, but we do want to continue to look for ways to create additional feedback. Our staff does engage with local entities. They've attended CPRS in terms of facility-related matters, and also there is a facility roundtable event that's held annually between those local municipalities on the prior slide, the last being hosted in Dublin. And what happens at these is gives the opportunity for the staff to bounce ideas off other cities, ask for advice, take suggestions, what have you. San Ramon's interested in hosting, and it's our intention to pull one of these into San Ramon within the next year or 2. Master plan. So what I wanted to do here on this specific slide is kind of attach to where our goals within the rental program draw a correlation to what we're asked to do via the master plan. So in considering some of the hierarchy goals, our priorities basically are to reflect the needs of the aging population. We wanted to obviously increase participation via use of access to our facilities and also technology. We've renewed existing facilities to increase use via our renovation, and we'd utilize technology and tracking to establish measures to identify operation success and potential maintenance. So specifically to the master plan, I did want to mention that we've adopted enhancements to policy revisions specific to different cultural events, that one being called Agni Pradiphan. And what this is it's a sacred fire flame. And we found that so many of the rental customers were asking, well, I'm reading through your policies and procedures, and it says no flame, no fire, but this is very important to our culture. How do we do this? And our staff collaborated with the San Ramon Valley Fire Department and came up with a solution to facilitate this in a safe manner. So that was exciting, and we've noticed that, our our customers appreciate that greatly. Also, the upgraded in-house permanent audio-video systems for the presentations, and also the renovations, as I mentioned, at the community center. So in tracking the program, it's important to not only look at the revenue, but we want to look at how many people are coming into our buildings and how many people are using facilities. So we came up with a couple of operating measures as well to track annually. And these are some measurable benchmarks. So in fiscal year 23-24, so we've only done it about a year and a half, we've had 96,000, basically 100,000 people come into the facilities via the facility rental program. As of right now, since July 1, we are approximately 50,000. So what that tells us is we're hosting about 100,000 people per year in the buildings, which is fantastic. The other measurable data that we pull is the amount of facility permits issued. So dating back from 21-22, we started surveying at 1,025. We've increased then to 1,451. And last year we finished off at 1,752. So we're noticing continued growth there as well, which is exciting news. And the last slide is the revenue. So that's the kind of item that we wanted to kind of pinpoint last, but I wanted to draw the picture of the full program before we jumped into this. The encouraging news with the rental revenue summary here is that it's growing every year. The green tabs indicate the full value of the rental program for all combined facilities, but then the different colors at the bottom will also demonstrate the use per facility. You'll notice some of the dips in the facilities, and those correlate with the renovation. So when one is down, another one jumps up, and they kind of offset. So that's how that data can be explained. But essentially, we started with about 605,000 in 22 and moved to 701,000 in 23. We finished off at 830,000 last year, and currently we are at approximately 507. Now, the 507 number is not July 1 through today. As I mentioned, we do book a year in advance, so that's taken into consideration rentals that may have not happened yet, but are currently on the books that we're expecting to complete. And I believe that's all I have. I do have some opportunity to take questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Michael.
Sure.
Yes, so let's do with commission questions first. Do we see the speakers? Okay. Kyle.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I did have a couple of questions. For the Planning Pod software, is every rentable indoor facility in the city kind of loaded into that, or not all?
Just the 4 community centers
Just
at
the
this
4
point.
Has there been any thought about expanding it, beyond that?
We haven't gotten that far yet. The system has the capability to do that. We customize it and we built the database, so we obviously have the opportunity to do that. I'm just not sure that the way we use it would be applicable for other areas, because there's so many. We do the setups, we do the insurance, all the logistical things through there, and some of the other portions of the rental program in other areas don't need that, but there's certainly a way to look at that.
Okay. And I know this is a presentation on indoor facility rentals, but
Right.
And maybe you just sort of answered it, but has there been any thought about expanding it for outdoor, like picnics and sports fields, things like that?
We do have the ability to do online reservations for our group picnics already, which is it's kind of it's been really effective. We do not allow online reservations for indoor facilities, and that's why we felt Planning Pod would kind of offset that need to the community to have some way of at least maybe not formally reserving a facility, but at least putting an inquiry out there and kind of starting the groundwork for
Get the
that.
ball rolling, yeah. And then my last question was, I really like the metrics that you guys are kind of pulling together and presenting for the data. Is there a metric to track repeat rental customers, like the organizations or individuals who keep coming back again because they've?
That's a great question. Within the staff report, I did mention a couple of our ongoing groups. We do have a way to track that data for our ongoing permit use. The numbers that are reported within that permit that's a specific permit per day, but we went ahead and broke that data down even further to extrapolate how many of those rentals are repeat cut, like on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or come back. So per facility, we have specialized groups that come back and rent with us annually. Some are weekly, some are monthly. But yeah, we definitely have a good base of repeat customers.
Good. Yeah, that's good to hear with the certainty. And those people can also be ambassadors for this program to other groups saying, oh, you know,
Absolutely.
I had a great experience here. So come and have a meeting in San Ramon. No, that's great. Thank you, Mike. I don't have any other
Thanks.
questions.
All right. Next is Commissioner Dollich.
So since we can book a year ahead of time, when do we actually recognize revenue?
Great question. Revenue is once the reservation is confirmed in the system, we take a security deposit, and
Right.
at that point, it sits in a deferred account. Revenue is realized after the completion of the event.
Okay.
So although all this data for the current fiscal year that I'm running, like I said, those events haven't happened yet. Some of them
Right.
passed today. However, that's how the system recognizes revenue would be complete on the day of the event.
Okay, that's what I thought, because we do have that cancellation policy. And,
Correct.
you know, et cetera, et cetera. But so we kind of forecast what the revenue would be, but it's not actually recognized. So sometimes it falls over into the next fiscal.
It does. It actually shouldn't fall into the next fiscal unless somebody's late on a payment. And in that situation, we're working on cancellation fees or other options, or maybe we're pulling something out of
Well, I
the
mean, if you-
schedule and moving them to a
Yeah.
new date or something.
But if you book in January and you don't have the event till October, then that's what I was implying, that
Sure.
you might have a booked.
Yeah.
So
And
you're looking at your capacity, but your revenue recognition isn't until the next fiscal.
Yeah, and it's important to mention that the fees are not due until 90 days prior to
Right.
the event. So the only monies that we're taking upon confirming the reservation is the deposit, and that just simply sits in a holding account until the event is complete, and we can just satisfy that and refund.
Can we legally get interest on those?
That's
Or is that considered an
That's-
escrow account?
That's a
might
really
be
great
another
question.
enhancement.
I don't think that we put it into a interest-bearing account. I believe it sits actually in a deposit account. But it's
Okay.
a great question because I don't know that for certain, so I can find that answer out.
Because if we have 90 days,
3 months, yeah, 3 months.
or even 6 months,
some
I
of the
mean-
deposits are sit for 10 months, 11 months.
well, we got, 5+% CDs now, so how about that, Mr. Breed?
I like it.
Okay.
I shall find out for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes legally you can't because it's a deposit. It's a security deposit. So that's why I was just saying, it would be interesting to know if the city could legally do that and accrue interest on it, or if it's, considered one of those non-interest bearing deposits. Okay, great, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Coney.
Thank you, Chair. Mike, nice job, always. I'm digging the pod planning software. That is super cool. I would love to actually kind of dig into that a little bit and see what it's like. The bundle package, and that's a relatively new concept for us, right?
We've done it. I believe this is now the 5th year, but what we do every year is we take a look at successful, what feedback, what was most successful, and then we have to go back to the fee resin and reincorporate and rebuild them. So they've been rebranded a few times. Right now, I think we're on our 2nd,
Mhm.
where we go different Ruby, Rose, gold, different, before they were just standard, like the room name, fountain room bundle. So we've tried to keep them fresh and evolve and try to make them enticing.
When I would assume it would be difficult for somebody to rent the community center and then another group to rent the Rose Garden, right? There's
That's
just
part, that's
typically
part of
conflicts there,
our,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
You hit it right on the head. Our goal is to, if we have a facility in use and we maybe can't rent to another entity, let's allow more opportunities for the folks that are in there and allow them access.
Got it. And then, so we only take reservations by phone or in person?
That's
For
correct.
indoor? Okay.
That's correct. We do not have an online, we used to have an online option for just entering a deposit, and staff would have to go in and approve that, and it just didn't seem to be working too well. So now what we use Planning Pod for is they can actually request a date within that software that
Oh.
doesn't require any financial transaction on their part, and it directly links them back to our staff. So
Cool. Right on.
it's much quicker than.
And then do we track like events by type, like
We-
weddings or?
We track
civic
not only
events?
with the attendance, we do title the events, and we can run reporting, sorting them, but the way, we don't specifically have a function set in the system that would allow us to pull that report down on, there're just so many different
Yeah.
names and uses, but we have a very good idea of what type of event, whether it be like a wedding, birthday, a quinceañera, baby shower, like on the bundled packages, I could pretty much tell like what we're marketing each bundled package at each facility for, and that information is what the staff uses to help sell the package.
Got it. And then just one other question. Is there a nonprofit rate?
There is.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay. No, thanks, Mike. Nice job.
Thank you. Vice Chair Britt?
Hey, Mike, thanks. Hey, quick question is, how do we stay up on our Wi-Fi strength? Like as more people go wireless for music and stuff, how do we make sure we have enough strength?
That's a great question. We make sure we have that dialogue before we get into hosting something where we might not be able to fit, accommodate everybody. But we work with the IT to let them know specifics on who's coming in, how many connections are coming, what we can do to enhance that. So it's kind of a collaborative effort. It's not simply, yeah, we have Wi-Fi, come in, and then we're crossing our fingers and hoping that things are going to go well. We've taken it a step further to just make sure that, before we get in, we want to make sure that we can take care of what they're requesting.
That's great. Thank you, by the way. Let's say we have 100 days rented a room. What % of the time are we renting rooms?
Like within like last minute rental, like, is that what you're asking?
Like if we have 100 days available,
Oh, 100.
I mean, what % of the days are we, what % of the time are we renting rooms?
I would say between 70 and 75.
75%.
We have to take into consideration the programming as well, but in many instances, especially on the weekends, we have programs in some rooms and rentals in some rooms and vice versa. So
Okay. That's gonna lead to later on. And then the last question is, you said we get feedback on surveys. I should have sent the question to you, so I don't expect you to know all this, but what are kind of the top lines, what we're doing really well, and then any opportunities that we would want to work on from the surveys, the 5 or 6 surveys until you change it.
the main feedback that we had was, well, yeah, what we're doing well is we're responsive to, specific equipment that they need or access times. The one thing that we hear all the time is, why can't we come in earlier? And it's just strictly a liability situation where, our event starts at 1 and we scheduled till 12 to set up from 12 to 1, but can we just come in at 11? And, we do hear that a lot on the survey. So I don't know if there's any way around that type of feedback, but that's been predominantly where the minuses lie.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Follow up on that question if I could. So is that part of the time that they book?
Yeah, so they
So they could conceivably book 2 hours ahead of the event
They-
if they wanted to.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we just can't allow access into the facility without a contracted time because, insurance situations, especially when you take into consideration what they'd be doing, moving equipment, setting things up and.
But I mean, it's possible for them to do that. They just decided not
Right.
to. And
Right. And if there are negatives on a survey, I'm okay with what I'm hearing because we're following policy, right? So it could be the furniture's terrible or the staff was rude, and we're not hearing anything like that, which
Right.
is fantastic.
yeah. So if we only get down to give us your name, we'll have 100% survey results.
Exactly,
It just keeps going up as the question.
for
goes
sure.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Great presentation. I have a couple of questions. Number
Sure.
one, it is on the same line. Oh, sorry. Oh, you did? Did I miss you? Oh, sorry about that. Commissioner Fosland?
Great presentation, Mike. Very organized, easy to follow. And
Appreciate it.
question I had was about the survey as well. I was wondering what it would take for us to get to 90% satisfaction, but I think you've addressed that. Rancho usage is very low compared to the others. Is there a reason for that?
We only have one room primarily. We have two rooms. One is primarily a meeting room, and then there's just one banquet room over there. It tracks, it does well. It's used very frequently, but it's just smaller, and the room size is smaller, which means the rental cost is smaller, and our bundled offering at that facility is 6 hours versus the 8 or the 10 at the other facilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see actually that maybe being more attractive to a business for a business meeting,
Yeah, of the two
kind of-
rooms there, we have the Bella Vista room, which is like the banquet room, and then the Russell room, which we've kind of converted into our meeting seminar, and we've just outfitted that with brand new projectors, and they have all the updated plug and play for the monitors, and we're seeing a lot of meetings happening there. It's just about the same size as the terrace room, but it
Mhm.
has a little bit more of the enhancements all around the room versus just looking in one direction in the terrace.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for explaining that.
Sure.
And then my last question was about the planning pod as well. I was curious, the other municipalities, do they use the same software?
Our group that we've run this through, we're the pioneers, so nobody's really jumped on that yet. We were told we can get a discounted rate or referral fee or something like that. We're still working on that at our seminars, but it started off for us, we weren't quite sure how successful it was going to be, and we had some doubts and some limitations, but as we became more familiar with it, it's really turned the corner for us. And as I said, that with the feedback from the community, not being able to actually do the reservation online, but having this software stand between has really enabled more, not only facilitated more rental opportunities, but also quicker staff time responsiveness and real-time communication, which is, I think, what you would expect when you're doing an online transaction.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. The other question I had around that was around like putting on a wedding. Are there examples for people if they're going in to look at that? Like if you're putting on this type of event?
Exactly. When they're in the system, they could actually see the room size. They could see exactly how many tables, chairs, and they could just drag and drop their own diagram in there because it's preloaded per room. So they would already know. They wouldn't ask us some outlandish question like, can I get 1,000 chairs in there, when they already know that you can select, your options are in there. So it's like an a la carte menu where you would just customize and build it. We also have examples in there. We'll have a standard one for 250 people dining, and then, they could easily select that. But once they get in there and they take the standardized one, they can start manipulating and move that around and save it and submit it. And then our staff will go through, and if they don't see any issues in accommodating it, then we'll finalize it and then they'll have it. So in prior years, before we used this software, our staff would physically walk the customer around the room with a clipboard and circles and X's and O's, and we've eliminated a lot of that and allowed the customer to kind of drive the bus.
That's awesome. Just curious also about Forest Home Farms with the barns and the open spaces there. Is that possibility that will also kind of make it to this
We're-
planning pod?
We could definitely look at adding the Walnut Barn into the planning pod. We do offer group picnic areas over there as well. The requests we're receiving is for the farm are few and far between, not as many as we hope for, but
Mhm.
when we do get them, that's the uniqueness of that facility is just, I err on the side of having staff meet them out there and physically see what you're doing and what you're asking to do. And I mean, in time, we could probably look at something like that, but they don't happen as frequently as we wish they would. So those folks that do choose to use that get extra special treatment to make sure that,
One-on-one, face to
yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah, because it's much different than what we're doing
Exactly.
indoors.
Great. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Student Commissioner Chawla, do you have anything, any comment, question?
It's like great. Like I know a lot of teams, especially like utilize these areas for like Sweet 16s. I know it's like a big thing at my school, and like a lot of them usually go to like the community center right here. So I think this looks really great. It's really interesting.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Mike, I have a couple of questions. Actually, this is something that Vice Chair Britt brought up, is is there anything specific learning that we do over the years, or maybe last survey that we do?
Learning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything
and-
and said, oh, wow, this is, we didn't think about.
Oh,
it.
yeah. And that's part of the CPRS ventures and our roundtable adventures. And also just when we're doing fee surveys, we're learning new things that other people are offering and doing, and we're trying to find ways how we can create that. We've come leaps and bounds on what we can do. The main thing that we try to learn at this point is what is stopping us from potentially having a rental? Because we have rental policies and procedures, and we know that everybody's not going to live within those means, but we don't want to tell somebody no. So how do we get creative? How do we look at opportunities to still host an event and also, keep our facility safe and follow protocol? So what I'm trying to embed in my staff is, let's figure it out. Let's be problem solvers. Let's help facilitate use. Let's take this feedback and let's just not read what the paper's telling us we can or can't do. Let's figure out why we can't do it. There's got to be a reason around or a way around it. And I think that's the constant learning that I'm trying to incorporate here.
Great. Yeah, that is really, really awesome. About the last slide, I was just looking at FY 21, 22 to all the way 24, 25. Is it throughout the year we get a uniform booking, or is there a up, down, or something that we have looked at the trend?
It's really dependent upon when somebody wants to host a special event. Like if it's a wedding and they know they're going a year out and they're going to want to secure a date, maybe in the springtime, then we'll get those a year out. Birthdays, same thing. We already know that when those dates are going to happen, anniversaries. Other use is just pretty much, when space is available or whatever their preference is. But we do see, I would say on a month-to-month basis, we get at least 5 to 6 for the following year. So in tracking that data, having the ability to go a year out is definitely something we want to continue to do, but it involves the collaboration with the program staff and, looking at the schedule and making sure we're not jumping on top of a city event or a special event that we host or obviously our programming.
Right, great. Awesome. And the last question we have, do we have any data on percentage-wise resident, non-resident, and nonprofit booking?
We do have that data. This data for here is everybody. It's the whole program. I can certainly extrapolate resident, non-resident, and nonprofit data that would collaborate with these numbers here.
All right. Thank you for the questions. Do we have any public comments? Okay. All right. So we'll go to commission comments. Is that a right? Okay. Commissioner Dolich, any comment?
No, I've already asked my question. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Britt.
Yeah, hey, I have some comments. Mike, I got to tell you, I read your report and it's one of my favorite reports I've seen in a while. I really can't thank you enough for calling out because you probably knew I'd look at the master plan stuff. So that made it much easier because I just think it's so important that we always think about that. And you called it out because we got to deliver against the master plan. So really nice job. You know, I can't thank you enough for doing that. Also, I like how we're trying to stay. I believe that we need to look around the corner on technology, and I think I ran into Garrett when you guys got the new bar tables, and I said, "What's up?" You know, he said, "Well, we need portability as we try to meet different facilities and where the bars are." So I think that you guys are really, I think we are as a team thinking about how we meet the needs of our, and you use the word customer a lot, which I loved, customer at the right place at the right time. So you guys have done a really nice job with that. And then, sounds like a love fest, but I'm really pleased with the report. And I thought it was really concise too, which I appreciated. The only build I have is, the, how we market, because I looked at our prices and to rent a room, and I think they're super reasonable. How do we continue to communicate to the citizens of San Ramon the value that we bring to um, the city for renting rooms and, you know, the technology, like you were talking about the wireless mic and how we work with the Wi-Fi to make sure we meet your needs. I think that's why I asked you about the 75%. I just think it'd be cool if we could next year tie in like a marketing, how you're trying to reach more people within the city to inform about. And I think our prices are really good. So I might be crazy, but
Yeah,
I think
we're
they're really
consistently
competitive.
where we need to be. We never do this annual fee survey and see something outlandish or crazy that we're way off base on anything.
Yeah.
But we also realize the way we take care of our facilities and the service that we offer, that if we do have a room that may be, you know,
If there's a way that, I mean, even if we just use some of our Instagram stuff, but how we continue to communicate
yeah,
rooms and stuff and
we
our
used to
costs.
use Your Town. We used to use Diablo Magazine, and we tried to track metrics for each of those, and we weren't, we'd offer like promotional discounts and coupons within the Your Town, and we would go out monthly, and we just weren't seeing significant returns on either the coupon use or survey feedback. So we've kind of gotten away from it, and we've used our in-house sources, obviously Facebook, Instagram, things like that to market it. But the best part of, or I'm a believer that the best marketing is our customer. So yeah, and we've just so many events, even if they're one-off events, and if they have a good experience with our staff, then the first thing they're going to tell us is, well, thank you. I can't wait. I'm going to tell so-and-so that this would be a great facility or great venue for them to come. And I really believe that the word of mouth has developed very good success for us.
I have an idea I'll share with Kathy. Nice job. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
Yep. And also with that, I agree with you because for our personal usage as well as our nonprofit Agomoni, we have been renting city venues for last 7, 8, 9 years. And I have never heard anything bad about the venues, the facilities, the staff. I think always there is a praise. So thank you guys for doing that. And just wanted to say that. Another one particular comment I wanted to make is I really appreciate when you said that staff worked with the fire department to make that fire things happen, because I know in some of the culture that are very, very part of their event that need to happen, and they always struggle. That is one thing, is like, where can I do that? And we always ask them to do it outside or whatever. But when you make it as a part of the rental, that, okay, this is the location, this is how you do it, I think that is an amazing.
Yeah, it was quite an accomplishment. I'll give Travis, actually, who's here with us tonight. He spearheaded that, and it was fantastic because the feedback after we were able to get that approved.
I would imagine that.
And it was just one less barrier that when you're trying to get somebody to use our facility and have a successful, memorable event.
Right.
And then if we're telling them, no, we can't do something, and it just took our staff to understand the significance and say, okay, now that we understand what's happening, let's figure out a way to make this work.
And it just shows that city and the staff cares.
For sure.
Right? their culture. It's not like, okay, we don't do that. We're just not putting the wall on
Yep,
that thing.
our-
We are
our-
trying to figure out how to make it happen because this is important for you and your culture and your community. So
I
that's
appreciate
great.
it. We definitely take
Yeah.
pride in that.
Please.
So as far as the referrals go, on the survey, do we provide a link, for example, to, Google for putting out a review, or to Yelp, or any of the online review, even just send
We
out a link
actually
to?
had a promotion that will focus on a referral. So if a past or current customer refers, the new customer gets a discounted rate, or the current, and if the current customer comes again, they would receive a rate. So we do have that. It's not specific on the survey where they would be able to, refer us out, but
Well, no, I'm not saying refer out. I'm saying to post on social media.
oh, I see. Yeah.
Maybe you have a link to Yelp, you have a link to,
We actually
Nextdoor, or et cetera. And at the bottom of the survey, you say, hey, if you really liked us, give us a great review. And it's very simple because they're going through 5 questions, and then there's a link that goes,
Right.
instead of having this, send them a separate email that says,
Yeah.
hey, when you got a time, or when they leave, hey, you got time, send them the survey, boom, right there. You probably get, your reviews up by, 30% or more if it's very easy to do.
It's a great suggestion, and we do use Yelp where all of our buildings are on Yelp, but connecting the two is definitely something we can
Cool.
look at. Thank
I
you.
think using the QR code instead of a link would actually be very helpful because people can just click that and go to that survey, do the survey. That
Yeah,
makes
we
sense.
talk.
You gotta use your phone to do a
Yep,
QR code.
yeah.
Yeah, but if you have the survey, it's an email.
Then you can just click
Just go,
it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Any other comments? All right. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you,
Great,
Mike.
great.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody involved.
Here's my QR code.
Yes. All right. Item number 7.2, review of the 2025-26 draft fees resolution. Recommendations: approve and recommend the draft fees resolution to forward to the City Council Finance Committee. Presented by Administrative Analyst May Lenick.
Good evening, Chair Mitra, Vice Chair Breed, Commissioners, and staff. Just bear with me 1 second. Oh. Bear with me 1 second while I pull up our presentation.
May I preface your presentation? So we did have a special committee meeting, Carol and I, with staff, and staff was out in strength. It was really great because each individual area was very specific about how they reviewed the fees, how they compared the fees, how they arrived at any changes to the fees, or kind of checked off that the fee as it was, was comparable, was relevant, and should be moving forward. So it was a very productive meeting, and the way that the fees were presented was very easy to understand. So when we reviewed it in the subcommittee, everything was very tight, and there should be some questions tonight, but I think staff has done a great job in presenting it in a very clear and lucid presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So welcome.
I just
to-
want to get out of here.
Oh. Understood.
I didn't hear that.
I'm just kidding.
So welcome to what is essentially our budget kickoff. So as we officially prepare for fiscal year 25-26, this is the first step of that process where we review our current fees and review any new fees, deleted fees, or updated fees. So what you have before you is our fee resolution, our proposed fees for 25-26. It is a slightly different format than what you may have been used to seeing in the previous years. What we did was we wanted to ensure that we incorporated your feedback from previous years. We wanted to make sure that the fees were easy to read, easy to understand. You could see the percentage change, the dollar change. So it is organized differently. We'll be starting basically in clusters. We'll first start off with our brand new fees, our quote unquote deleted fees. It's not really a deleted fee, we're just moving it. And then we'll have our updated fees. We will also include something that we didn't initially discuss in our subcommittee meeting, and that's just discussion of the fees that are unchanged. So we'll go over that very briefly, and then, of course, answer any questions that you may have. So with that, I will start with the background of the fee resolution. So overall, as the staff prepare for this process annually, we do utilize several methods to look at our fees. They're outlined here before you. We look at fees charged for service at other municipalities with like facilities along the 580-680 corridor. So that's Danville, Walnut Creek, Pleasanton, Dublin, and so on. We also utilize CPI. So in the past, annually, we would look at the October CPI. And what you may have noticed is that citywide, we've actually started this budget process much earlier compared to other years. So due to that, the October CPI wasn't published at the time, but we wanted to ensure that we chose a CPI that was reflective of the economy. So we used the 12-month data for 2023 from January through December. That's 3.53%. It's published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics annually, and it's specific to the Bay Area urban area. Staff also utilizes the actual costs of operating and maintaining fields and facilities. This includes the cost of staffing, utilities, supplies, and insurance. We also have already user agreements with our sport user groups, so we factor that in as well. We also look at the impact of state-mandated increases, such as minimum wage. For January 1, 2025, you may have seen that there was a ballot measure for the state where it was proposed to increase minimum wage to 18. That didn't pass, so minimum wage is getting increased to $16.50, and that's what these numbers reflect. We also use a 50% cost recovery goal as our overall model. One thing that we heard from previous commissioners is, we wanted to ensure that our fees were aligned appropriately. So you'll see that kind of across the board. We wanted to make sure that all of our nonprofit fees were 50% below resident fees, and that our non-resident or commercial rates were 25% higher than the resident fee. So you'll see that kind of across the board, but based on your feedback, we just wanted to ensure that we were consistent. So moving forward, we're going to start with our new fees. There are several new fees. There's a little chart that outlines all of the fees here. So starting with facility rentals, we do have a permit modification fee. And the purpose of this fee is to essentially encourage renters to actually submit the requests before the deadline. And this could be, if they have a time change, if they want to change the date, if they want to change the room. So essentially just having this fee to encourage them, hey, just make sure that you let us know well in advance of the deadline. The next fee would be for athletic facility rentals, specifically for co-sponsored groups. And this is very similar to the previous fee I mentioned, but this is addressing any use changes to their permit. So typically co-sponsored groups, they make their reservations by quarter. And along the same principle, we're just wanting to ensure that any changes are made before their additional user request deadline. And it might be easier if you have questions to just let me know rather than waiting until the end. Okay, so I'll keep going along. For our advertising,
So that number one, you said call it out a new fees. Didn't you have something like that? I'm talking about the first one, permit modification fees. Didn't you have a permit modification fees before? Or is this something that is new?
No, this is new. Let's see here.
Change fee.
Yes.
Modification is change.
Well, this is permit modification.
That includes dates and venue and everything, right? I mean, that's a change, right?
For the permit modification fee, that is a brand new fee.
That is a brand new fee. Okay. So the other one is something different?
Correct. Yeah. So for the brand new fee for the permit modification fee, that's something we've never had before. Renters would be making changes up until the date before. Of course, the closer that we get to the rental, then that's just time to make the changes.
Okay.
Essentially, we had 113, but we're hoping with this fee, of course, we're hoping that drives that number down.
Good. Okay.
And then did you have questions about the quarterly permit? Okay. So moving on to advertising fees, this is a brand new fee as well. We're proposing to have a performing arts marketing package. And this is an overall package, currently not considering an a la carte option, but having this full package would have the option for an event renter to have posters in our facilities, flyers and flyer racks. They could be included in city social media, and then also within a targeted email blast to like our performing arts newsletter. Yes.
I have a question about that. Were we doing this just non-gratis before, just doing it for the clients?
For the clients?
Like putting up posters and, just if, if they wanted that we were doing it. So this is a more formalized, new additional offer that we're creating?
Correct.
I can jump in here. So previously, any type of marketing for any type of group would have been part of a partnership or sponsorship agreement. So no, it was not non-gratis. It was always part of something that it was a partnership that the city had. This is specifically targeting a promoter that wants to come in and offer a show. So for instance, this coming spring, we have a comedian coming in and another cover band that is being brought in by a promoter. They would have a chance for us to help with their marketing because we know this area and what would work, what doesn't work, what draws in the crowds. So that's what this is targeting. It's not necessarily targeting the family rental celebration or anything like that.
And quick question, Mace. All right. So says fiscal impact $2,000. Are you only assuming there's only going to be 4 people that take advantage of that, or?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
At least for this first year.
Yeah. Be conservative. All right.
Yeah.
And sorry, just because these are promotional rentals, we know we have 2 this coming spring. We just don't know what that looks like. Obviously, if we do a good job, promoters are going to spread the word. We may get more. So that's why it's 4.
For the first year. So moving on to amphitheater use, we're proposing an amphitheater setup fee. So as you probably already know, we already have an existing amphitheater rental fee. But if you wanted to actually have your chairs and your table before, that's something that our facility staff are doing without charging. But if, say, for example, a renter wants to have chairs set up, so thinking of like School of Rock, they usually do kind of like a recital certain times of the year. If they wanted to have chairs set up, tables set up, this is a setup fee for that, which did not exist previously. And for our last series of new fees, for the turf fields and the synthetic fields, we're proposing a new half-day rate for our for-profit camps and tournaments and our co-sponsored groups and the school district. So previously we had a full-day fee. We're trying to introduce a half-day fee because we notice a lot of tournaments only want a certain cluster of hours, not necessarily the full day. So this would be to address that.
And I'm just guessing that 2 half will be less than or more than 1 full day, right?
Correct.
Yeah, obviously.
And then the last new fee, very similar to the Central Park Amphitheater fee, we're proposing a similar outdoor setup fee for any setup of tables or chairs outside the theater. So for example, if there's an outside Arn Gatrum, this would be just to set up the tables and chairs for that event. So moving on to our quote unquote deleted fee, it's really just.
Can I ask you a quick
Yes,
question?
of course.
This new fees, did we do any kind of not survey, any kind of testing that how people will look at it? So I'm a repeat. I'm just saying, I repeat, I every year I do an event in Fountain Room or amphitheater. I'm used to getting this table chairs set up as a part of my deal, part of my things I book it. All of a sudden, this one gets $70, $5. It's not like a big number, so I don't mind it, but I will say why. And have we done any kind of survey on that one, and people say how they are going to react to this?
I'm not sure if a survey has been done specifically for this piece. It is a cost recovery measure because it does take significant time for a staff person to set up all those chairs and the tables
Right.
outdoors.
Right. Yeah, I think that question might come up, but I think, as you said, that if the explanation is like, hey, we need to recover some money, we are cost over there. So, okay.
He may, it would be set up and also take down, right?
Correct.
Okay, I would just add it when we send it forward to the
Okay.
council, right? Just, for both.
Yep, good point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I missed it the first time.
All right, so for our deletion of fees, this is really just actually recategorizing this fee. So for facility rentals in our community room 1, we're actually proposing to just move it to an existing room category because it's similar in size to rooms 101, et cetera, at the San Ramon Community Center. So that way they're just aligned in fees. All right, so moving on to updated fees. So earlier in my background, I did outline the different ways that staff prepare for the fee resolution process. And we do look at multiple things, such as looking at other agencies, maintaining cost recovery, actual costs, and so on. For the updated fees that we're proposing for this upcoming fiscal year, we actually noticed that they were broken down simply within these 3 categories. So I'll actually go through them by category. So which fees were updated to maintain cost recovery, which were updated by CPI, and then which fee was updated based on aligning with a comparable agency. So starting with the fees that maintain cost recovery, the first one that I'd like to point out is our finance department already has an existing insufficient, basically a bounce check fee. So recently, Parks and Community Services started accepting ACH, which is basically when you make a payment using like your bank routing number. We're just adding this to the existing fee so that way if there's a bounce check or an insufficient ACH transaction, it just falls under finance's already existing fee. The next updated fee that's related to cost recovery is just modifying the quarterly payment cancellation fee. So this is different than the change. This is specifically if someone tries to cancel their event after the cancellation deadline. And then the next updated fee is increasing the special event permit application tier fee. So that's the special event permit application for tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 events. If you may recall, last fiscal year, the city obtained a consultant to review all of the city's fees and provide feedback. The consultant had recommended that most of the fees should be charged based on actual costs. For this particular fee, it was quite a difference from what it was originally. So instead of a sticker shock, if you will, of updating the existing fee to $3,101 off the bat, they actually decided to do a phased approach. So last fiscal year, we did an intro of those new special event application fees by tier. That was 50% of what the consultant recommended. And this upcoming fiscal year is just realizing the full fee that the consultant recommended.
This is a big number thing.
It is a big number, and that's why we had the phased approach.
Now, tier 1, just remind me, tier 3, what kind of event is tier 3? Because that's where the biggest increase, 68%.
Correct. So tier 3 is an event that's going to involve not only the city of San Ramon, it's probably going to involve like the fire department. So for example, Durga Puja, Maya Bazaar, that would be considered a tier 3 event. Tier 2 would be probably an event that involves like multiple city departments, such as the police department, Parks and Community Services. So that could be like a homecoming celebration for either of the high schools. And then tier one would be a smaller event that is essentially managed by Parks and Community Services, such as a church event, Agamony Family Sport Day, or the Cinderella Ride. Those would be just basically our tier one events.
Yeah, the tier three, I'm personally really hesitant because I remember at least few years back when COVID, even after that, it was around 600 something. Now we are making 600 to 3,000, 5 times, right?
Correct.
And again, I'm taking this hat off. I'm just putting a nonprofit organ like Agamony paying $3,000 for a permit.
Right.
That is a way too much cost. I'm not saying this is a cost recovery. It's definitely the consultant did that fabulous job. No question about that one. But I'm just looking at a practical way. 3,000 spending on a permit is a way too much for me, for my personally, because I have been doing it for the last 8 years. So that will be my comment.
So on that, so we might need more data on the true cost of permit fees. So if we're going up by that much, maybe we just share the cost breakdown. So we're in a defendable position if we get pushed back and say, hey, here's our cost. So we can answer that better. That's what I would recommend we try and think about doing on that one. So 'cause I think it's a fair question. What's that?
Apparently, that's what the consultant did.
Yeah, but I
They
think
looked at what the actual cost was versus what the existing fee was and said, you know, you're way below what your actual cost is even. So, I mean, it is defensible by, you know, by that.
I hear you, Will, but I think, you know, Commissioner, Chair Dietrich makes a good point, but if it comes up, we just need to say where we're making major fees. I get that we got guidance on it, but someone might say, you know, what's the cost? How do we just defend ourselves?
We have that
especially
information, I guess, from the consultant, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and how long has it been at that lower rate? For how many years?
You mean before we were on phase one?
Yeah, just how long has that lower rate been in effect? Where we weren't having cost recovery at all, where it was primarily offered at a base rate, you know, for that.
Like I said, more than 20 years.
More than 20 years. So, okay, got it.
No, I was gonna help you out a little bit because I knew that I think we all knew this was probably a fee that is a little challenging. So you as a commission can, as you recommend the fees be forwarded, you can recognize that staff said, this is what the consultant and everyone told us to do, but the commission doesn't recommend that for a specific one. And then it will be up to city council to decide what they want to do with it. So that's perfectly reasonable and it's understandable. On this one, the tier 3 is high. So completely up to you. It's our true cost.
Right.
But, and it is absolutely defendable. Every hour of every minute of everything was counted to get to the fee. And even at that, we even went a little bit lower.
And how many tier 3 events are we talking about?
Yeah, I agree.
At this point, we have 2, but that includes Durga Puja, but Durga Puja for the last few years.
So there's two events that we're talking about. It's not like it's affecting a large percentage of the 85,000, you know, residents of Ceremony. It's 2 events. And what about phase 2? Was it a tier 2?
That's a little bit more, that would include a high school homecoming. I can't think of another one off the top of my head, tier 2.
It's roughly 5 to 6 per year for tier
Okay,
2.
So 5 to 6.
So either way, Will, if it's, you always just want to be in a defendable position if you're taking cost up. And that's all I'm saying is, if it comes up, just make sure we have data support why we're taking our fees up. I think it's pretty simple, if you get pushed back on it, because I'm with you on cost recovery, right? I mean, and if I'm a citizen in San Ramon, like, I don't believe it, right? Well, here's kind of the data, right? So that way you're always in a cost or defendable position, even if it's one group or if it's 15 groups. So, you know, we can hammer that through, because I don't disagree with it at all.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I'll take an analogy from my business is if you don't keep your rents at market rent, you know, it's very tough to go from the rent that you were charging somebody 20 years ago and say, oh, by the way, we haven't done this in 20 years. And they're going to go, oh, that's why you do it on a gradual basis and you have that defensible position because you're doing that based upon, you know, CPI or something along those lines. This was an extreme event that went from 20 years being, you know, this status quo to all of a sudden, whoa, here's our cost and look what we're charging. But the good news is there's 2 events at the higher level and 5 to 6 at the middle
Yeah.
level. So, you know, we're not affecting a large swath of the population. We're, you know, we're affecting a, you know, a very, very small number of events with this. So, you know.
So I just wanted to add, okay, Durga Puja, I recuse myself.
Okay.
I agree with that. There is 1 or 2 other similar event. It's not about the number, it's about the scale and how it projects the city from beyond city, right? These events, not a small events like a birthday party, it is with a small group. You are talking about thousands of people coming just for these events,
Right.
for a week long or whatever, right?
Right.
So this is for me, it's not about the number, how many events we do, it's that we do this event in our city. I think that is more important to that. Now, coming back to that, and that's why I said I took off my commission hat first before I commented that. Now, I think this cost recovery point, I have no doubt about this. This is absolutely fine. I mean, what do you guys on that one? I'm just thinking somebody who was paying less than $1,000, all of a sudden we do that on that. It's not that this is the only charges. They have every nonprofit, whoever doing an event, you know that there is an inflation 30-40% over pre-COVID, post-COVID. That's a reality on that. On top of that, we are adding this one as well. My only thing is, will that force the people out? Right? As is, it is people just thinking about scaling it down, not doing the events because of this overall inflations. This one is going to add one more pain point for them. Will that force them to think about it, to doing it at the city, taking it out of the city, or whatever? That's number 1. Number 2, I want to now, are we the only city around here in the Bay Area? Are we doing tiering, or there are other cities? If they are, do we know what numbers do they have? What are do they charge around those same kind of bigger events?
That is a great point. I do believe we did look at other cities along the 680 corridor for specific tiered events. I want to say that there were only a couple that had a tiered system.
Sorry, yes, I mean, we did look at it. There are cities out there that have tiers. It's very hard to compare though, just because every city operates differently. They include different things in that tiered fee structure. So by no means is it apples to apples. So it's really hard to answer that question, other than, yes, others have tiered event pricing.
But not to this scale, probably.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, all right. That's it.
And related to special events, so this is something that was accidentally left off in our last meeting when we discussed fees. We wanted to highlight a correction tied to special events. There is a full-time staff rate, so it's very rare that you would need full-time staff present at a special event, but the cost of full-time staff salaries and benefits do go up. So in the event that a special event would require, and these are positions such as our recreation coordinators or recreation supervisor, or I'm trying to think of another one, but essentially that level of full-time staff, they typically have salary increases, and then of course the cost of benefits goes up. So we just wanted to ensure that you guys were aware that that fee would also need to be increased as well for cost recovery. For the next fee, it would be increasing fees for the memorial program. The memorial program fees haven't been touched for essentially 10 years, but of course the cost of fabricating the plaques and the benches, of course, has gone up since then. So we just wanted to increase those fees to reflect that change. And the last fee for cost recovery, as you probably heard, minimum wage was increased to $16.50. So we're just increasing the lifeguard fees by that delta, 50 cents, effective January 1. Moving on to our fees that we updated by 3.53% CPI and aligning with comparable agencies. Starting with the fees that we updated by CPI, that would be any of our building, group picnic, theater, and gym rental fees. In our previous report, we had included that the theater staff hourly rate was increased by CPI, but we actually have a clarification for that. That is actually increased per a contractual agreement with our vendor. So it was increased specifically for that. So we just wanted to make sure everyone was aware about that. Also, we didn't have the senior center gazebo and food truck application fee in the initial draft, but that is also being increased by CPI as well. The next category, very similar to the building group picnic theater and gym rental fees. We're also increasing the San Ramon Olympic Pool and Doherty Valley Aquatic Center lane use fee by CPI. And there was one memorial tile program, different than the plaques and the benches. The memorial tile program will also be increased per CPI due to the same reason, fabrication and installation of the tile.
Okay, I know I emailed you, I just can't figure it out in my head, the math wise. So like on line 191, it's page 37. Why did, okay, I don't get why we added, I know you tried to explain it as verbally. Why did the fee go down?
Oh, so in our quest to align fees with nonprofits being 50% below the resident rate, and then non-residents or commercial being 50% above the resident rate, we had some fees where the nonprofit rate was not following that alignment. So by actually being consistent across the board, we do have some fees that when we started making everything consistent, the fee actually went down.
Yeah, so you start with the residence fee and go either up or down based off of that percentage. That's right, that's right. Okay. Because I was like, God, residential commercial didn't jive with me, but I didn't start with the resident fee. You're right.
And then so we
Okay,
use
gotcha.
the proposed resident fee, and then that's what we
Yeah, and you
went.
go up or down. Okay, thank you so much.
We do have one fee that we're aligning with a comparable agency, and that's increasing the Turf Fields Youth Adult Co-Sponsored Organization in the school district and the resident, non-resident hourly rate by $1 effective July 1. So this is brand new. We didn't discuss this at our finance committee meeting, but per the city manager's office instructions, we actually just recently received feedback from that office just a few days ago. And we just wanted to ensure that everyone was aware that, of course, we do have existing fees that we didn't have any changes to at all. So we just kind of wanted to highlight these fees and why they weren't changed. So I kind of went over it earlier, but for our ACH fee, we're not proposing to change the insufficient ACH fee because it didn't exist before. We're just simply tacking it on to the return check fee. But the fee itself, we checked with the finance department. They're not planning to increase it at this time. So we're just adding the word ACH. There are fees where those specific services are already underutilized. And our fear is if we were to increase the fees, it would result in less interest in those particular programs. So for example, the private fitness permit applications, that fee remains the same. Same for rentals for the Creative Studio, the City Hall Rotunda, the amphitheater, full private group rental fees. Those are all the same. Concession stand fees, that stayed the same. And then lastly, the scoreboard fee for co-sponsored groups. Moving on to the next category of unchanged fees, we do have one set of fees, or I should say there are two fees that are already part of existing fees. So our new room setup fee that was introduced last fiscal year, that's already part of the building rental itself. So for example, if you're renting the fountain room or the terrace room, there was that fee's already being increased, so we didn't feel it was necessary to increase the room setup fee as well. Same thing with the rental storage fee. That's usually part of a field rental, and the field rental is already going up by CPI, so it was unnecessary to modify the rental storage fee. Lastly, when we do compare ourselves to other similar agencies, sometimes we see we're already right on target and there's no reason to increase that fee, or we might have already be on the higher end of the scale. And those two categories would be our advertising fees, such as in our recreation guide in theater event playbill, general advertising, and then for our equipment fees for the facilities, pools, or theaters. So currently, our equipment fees, or our equipment has not changed. So there was just no need to increase the fees this fiscal year. Any questions on those?
Well, I might make a comment as we go back to the permit fee. The permit fee that went up. So, I mean, we always talk about cost recovery and it's always very important. All right, but perhaps if we scale that up over 3 fiscal years instead of 2 fiscal years, then the impact may be mitigated and that might be a way to look at it. You do want to come to cost recovery because as you have multiple districts and, you know, multiple departments involved, there is higher cost. But, you know, perhaps, you know, if you do it over that 3-year period instead of a 2-year period, you mitigate the increase and it, you know,
Gradually
might be smooth.
absorbing the
little
shopping.
more
shopping,
smooth.
yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I would certainly be in favor of that kind of a recommendation. But I think we do need to look at the costs that are there and the fact that it hasn't been increased in 20 years. And that we know that there are costs that have increased in that 20-year period in engaging, you know, multiple areas, you know, for events like that. So that might be something, you know, we could recommend and say, hey, the fee looks good, but you know, scale it over 3 rather than 2 years. And then you're doing a third instead of like, you know, a third and.
Yeah.
Now you can put your hat back on.
I mean, we have to look at it this way. This is permit fees. This is not the rental.
Right.
On
yeah.
top of that, something like a Durga Puja, I have a
I got
first-hand
you.
experience. It goes 20, 25, 30,000
I got
just
you.
for the rental
I-
on top of this.
I've done events in
Anyway,
the city too, and
so-
I understand, but you know, I mean, we got to look at it from
Sure,
behind the.
absolutely,
you know.
absolutely, absolutely. Our cost
Without
recovery
it,
is definitely very important, and I'm very glad you guys are really looking at it hard on this one.
Yeah, but if it's 3 years rather than 2.
Yeah.
that might be,
Personally, I
you know.
love this whole thing, right? It gives me a very good perspective. Only that one item, I have a little bit of hesitancy of that. I'm not questioning the judgment. I'm not questioning the number. It's like the shock that people are going to get, right? People plan it ahead of time. They know this is the venue, this is the thing, and all of a sudden this, and this is the permit fees, not the rental. This is just permit fees, right? We have to realize that.
But if there's only 2 events and one is already shocked, we only got 1 more to go.
But if I have one event, that is a shock for me.
The other event.
Maya Bazaar. Maya Bazaar.
Stretched over several days.
So 1 day,
It's 1 day.
1 day event.
Tier 3 because.
Because it involves usually the whole city support. So it includes like the police department. It might even include public works. It definitely includes parks and community services. It might even include some county support, like if there's usually like an alcohol license or if they need like a bartender. It just has like interagency involvement.
Fire districts.
Exactly.
Yeah, yep.
Run for Education would fall under tier 3.
However, the run, just to clarify that, the Run for Education has an MOU with the city.
Yeah.
So that kind of supersedes this fee structure because of the MOU.
But that would be a tier type of.
It
event,
would.
Right?
Yeah.
Great. So kind of to summarize everything for our new and updated fees, estimated revenue to the city for just the new fees would be $14,575 if all of the new fees are approved. If all of the updated fees are approved, it would be $113,747. I do have a caveat that when we receive the direction from the city manager to ensure that we looked at all of our fees and updated accordingly. So like the staff fees that we have to increase, that's not part of this number. But cumulatively, the estimated total revenue to the city is $128,322 if all categories of the fees are approved. So the recommendation is that staff and the Commission Finance Committee recommend that The full commission review the proposed amendments, provide your feedback, and recommend that these fees be forwarded to the City Council Finance Committee for consideration. So that is coming up next month, the Finance Committee, and then once the Finance Committee reviews it and whatever fees they provide, that goes to the full council. There is a process for the city for the fees to be introduced to the public for 2 more times, and then it's adopted typically in April. And then, of course, effective July 1, when the new budget cycle starts.
You want a motion?
Can I make a quick comment?
We have more discussion.
Just one more comment. Hey, since I didn't know when we're gonna comment, I have a recommendation. We use the word cost recovery a lot. And under page 25, under like the principal, I think you're calling it out under review actual costs, operate and maintain facilities. I would somewhere put in the word cost recovery because we're using that term a lot. And so, because I think this page is really well done and we're linking it, we've done a really nice job linking it to why we're increasing fees. So this page will be how we can, hey, here's our principles, here's how we're trying to do it. So I would just incorporate the word cost recovery in there. And then on where we have cost recovery situations, I call it out a little bit more, maybe definitively in Excel spread. Because by the way, the Excel spreadsheet's really cool, by the way. I'm super in love with it. But you did a nice job of that too. Thank you so much. But I would just incorporate it with there.
Sure.
Where, if we get examples, what we just chatted about consultant, but it's also a cost recovery for the city, right? So that way we're pretty educated on what we go do. So that I think would help out because you did a lot of work on it. And also before we make a motion is, this has changed a lot over the past 3 years. And I really like the preference part because you can tie in, it makes us more defendable as we're taking costs. So you've done a lot of work on taking feedback and being really open to it. And I really appreciate it. And then I think the way we format it, you can link it, as I was trying to read through, I was trying to link back to what you put in there. So it's really solid work. And then putting percent increase, it makes it so much easier for the audience to read where we're at, even, what we're talking about. So it's easy to navigate. So you've done a really nice job laying all that out. So it's come a long way and I know you've taken a lot of feedback. So thank you so much for doing that.
It's a lot of work. It really shows how much work, how much research you guys put in. So thank you for that one. One question for Kathy is there any way can we separate this out? I mean, you suggested one thing and there Will also suggested something on that.
You can make a motion that approves the fees and with the recommendation
Yeah.
to change one of them, that's fine. And that's what we will forward.
No, so that's what I'm looking at. Even if we say change to what? Because we know this is the cost.
Well, I have a motion. to
Yeah,
make.
you did, yes.
Yeah, so I
You did
make a
that.
motion that we receive the report and forward it along to city council for their review and recommendation with the change that the special event permit application tier fees be allocated over 3 fiscal years rather than 2. So we'd be looking at 2024, 25, 25, 26, and 26, 27 to arrive at the $3,101 fee. And I so move.
I'll second that.
Can you just reread that motion? I'm just trying to do it in my head. So that's why I didn't second it. So I'm just trying to understand it a little
Okay,
bit
so
better.
you can stop and you've got a first and a second. So now you can stop and have more discussion
Yeah,
before you go to a vote.
yeah.
Yeah, I think what Will is saying is that we accept everything in the resolution. But with the caveat that we phase in the
Right.
tier 3, the tier.
Right.
Over 3 years.
Right. I mean, for me,
Makes it more palatable. I agree.
there are so much data, so much things on that. I don't want to stop that because of one thing. I just want to
Well,
come
we're
up
not
with something.
stopping it.
I mean, yeah, it's basically, I don't want to
Softening.
say no for that.
Yeah.
That's one item.
It's
because so-
softening the blow.
Yes, yes. Because I want to approve this one, but this one, something on that one, because there are so many other numbers that will help the city. So I don't want to do anything on that one.
I do think you need clarity though.
Yeah, me too.
And on, there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So are we going to phase in the increase for all
For-
three
For
tiers?
all three phases.
That's
yes.
what I
Yeah,
wanted to
that's-
hear.
Yeah, all three tiers.
Yeah.
3 tiers, yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna,
Yes.
Trying to
so,
give her the clarification.
Yes.
I was just focusing on
In
the,
a 3-year period. Oh, yeah.
over 3 years.
Even though 1 and 2 are not the dramatic,
Right.
it makes it easier just to do that.
Yeah,
It's still-
270 to
It's
440.
still
is
50 to 60% increase,
Yeah.
but the number is
But
small,
not
so it
as-
doesn't
yeah.
look like that.
Right. But yeah, for each tier to be, to the cost recovery number over a 3-year fiscal period rather than a 2-year fiscal.
so,
Make that amendment.
so basically what he's saying then is for on line 13, I just did the math, we'd go up about $417 per year over the next 3 years on line.
So.
So line 13, so that's, I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, if you want to make an amendment to it that says on a proportional basis, over the course of the 3 years.
Yeah, I just think we need to be really, I mean, your amendment's good. We just need to be really specific on what we're saying. And what you're saying is on line 13, 14, and 15, we want to take up the price increase, whatever that may be. So that's, up by 1/3 each year for the next 3 years. So
Yeah,
like be 420, 424, or 416, 416, 416.
yeah,
Yeah,
So that way
460.
proportionately.
It's super clear.
Yeah,
Right.
So that's.
That's right.
Yeah, I just trying to drive clarity on it. So,
Evenly.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So if we can, do you mind if we just amend it to say that, Will, to
we
say,
could amend it
Okay, yeah.
or, yeah.
I'm
absolutely.
good with if you say it that way,
So-
because
so
that way
again-
it gives a real clear
We could make it
direction.
easier if we just restate it rather than amend it, because then we'd have to vote on the amendment and then we have to vote on the
True.
motion.
So just before you, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Right now it's 1851, right?
Correct.
Right. So we're 416 means we are going to around 2260 something, right?
Correct.
First year, and then 26 something, and then 3000 something.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, so we do it proportionally.
Proportional,
over
that's
the
3 years.
course
Okay.
of
Okay.
3 years instead of 2.
I just use that one part that, sorry, Termitra, just so you could, 420, 420, or 416.
416 or
416.
So I can restate the motion if you like.
That's fine. And then if we do that, how's it affect our 50% cost recovery? Is that
Yes,
is that a big deal? If we do that from a cost recovery standpoint for the 50% cost recovery of what our goal is?
I think that will be okay because this is
Okay.
just one
One event.
piece of a large structure of budget.
And
It's not that
very
amount.
small
And we'll-
subset.
Will and I can write a check to cover it.
No, here we are talking about 128,000, right? 128,000 total
Right.
Yeah,
year
yeah.
long. And here we are talking about 2 events or 1 event,
in
No,
the
I just
tier
want to
two.
make.
less $800.
No,
So
we're talking
basically,
about- we're talking about basically $15,000 in new costs.
You just want to make sure they don't have to go rework everyone. If I don't think it's significant, but I just want to make sure, right? So.
No,
We
I
don't have to
don't-
go
I don't
rework
think
fees to meet
it's not
that.
going to be,
Okay.
it's not going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm
But
good with
at
that.
least it will reduce the shock to people who does that even. So that's what,
So do you want me to restate it?
yes,
I,
please.
I think that's what Commissioner Breed asked.
Yes, please.
Okay. So here we go. I move that we accept the staff report for new cost fees for fiscal year 24-25, with the exception of the special event permit application tier fees to be allocated proportionately over 3 fiscal years rather than 2.
Yeah,
think it's 25, 26.
You said 24, 25.
Oh, well.
Which
Okay,
is-
oh, yes, 20, well, over 3 years, okay, 24, 25, 25, 26, 25.
resolution is 25.
Right,
Yes.
right, okay, thank you.
Restated.
Yeah, no, it's.
I do think we've got it. May,
Yeah.
maybe you could just reiterate to them
Yeah.
what you heard and then that way we'll all be clear.
yeah, and I second it, or Terry seconds it, but it's, you're taking up the price. All they have with that is you're taking the increase up 1/3.
Over, yeah.
Over
yeah,
three-
yeah, no, thank you,
over
Terry.
3
Those are
years.
24,
Yeah,
25,
yeah.
26, 27, 20, yeah.
So your direction is to increase tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 by 1/3 for upcoming 25, 26. And then in 26, 27 is when we will realize what is currently proposed in the staff report.
Correct.
Is that true?
No.
Yeah.
No, no.
No, you just said
No.
no, what he's saying is
3 years.
25, 26, you go up 1/3. 26, 27, you go up a third, 27, 28, you go up a third. So it's a third, a
No,
third.
no, the current is 24, 25. Or 24, 25, which is what Terry said.
Yes.
That's our current right there.
But what your motion said is to take it up a third, a third, a third. then
Third,
a
third.
Well,
a
25,
fiscal.
26, and 25, and 26, 27.
Okay, well,
That is 50-50, not one third,
Right,
one third.
right.
No, so what I was more comfortable with one third, 3 years.
That's what you were saying.
he did, that's what I thought I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too.
That it would be phased in evenly by a third over a 3-year period,
Right.
right? So the increase, first year would be a third, second year would be
Which
a
would be
third,
26, 27, then 27, 28.
25, 26, then 26, 27, then 27, 28. right?
Okay.
That's what we
Yeah,
got,
that's exactly
$416
what I heard.
each year.
Well, I was starting with 24, 25 as our baseline, and then
Yeah, right.
1 year, 2 year, 3 years would be the second and then third. But we could do it over,
So 24, 25, 24, 25, 26
no,
gets.
24,
four-
25 is already here.
Right.
Right.
We're already
So
at
that is
So if we
1,800.
do it over 25, 26, and 26, 27.
728.
Yeah, you have 27, 28, just right.
Oh, I was just going over those 2 years to make it those 3 years in a row.
That-
But we could do 3 years.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that's what your motion says is 25, 26, 27, 26, 27, 28, 8, 20, I'm sorry, 27, 28. So,
Okay.
yep, and that sounds fair.
Yep.
Did you prove it? Did you second it?
Second.
Okay.
Who first did and who second?
Will's got to hit it first.
So just to be clear, Mayor,
Hey, Will, can you hit the thing?
24, 25 is 1,800, whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
this one right here.
So 25, 26 is 2,200 something.
Yep.
Right? 26, 27 is 2,600
Yep.
something. And 28, 7, 28 is 31 something.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, okay, just want to be clear. Okay.
Who rang?
She said, calling for a vote. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. That was
You're
a good suggestions.
Good job.
Everything.
But-
clarification.
Yeah,
Help it.
and May and everybody whoever involved, this is a lot of work. Every year you guys do this. This is, thank you. Thanks for doing this. This is a really big thing.
Thank you.
Thanks, May. Nice job on the spreadsheet again.
Thank you.
All right, okay. Coming back to this, item number 8, staff report, recreation maintenance and operation report.
So hopefully you got a chance to take a look at the rec report. Yeah, everyone's partying now, so I hope you got to take a chance to look at the rec report. There's a couple things in there that I think are just charming, so I have to mention them. If you didn't look at it yet, take a look at the Little Sprouts preschool Friendsgiving photos. They are adorable, and the little messages of thanks for their parents. It's just as cute and warm and fuzzy as you could possibly get. As Commissioner Dorlick mentioned earlier, the Spark partnership, that is also in there. So that'll reiterate the dates and times. I do think this is really exciting because it's a lightly staged reading. So they used to call it Reader's Theater, but so the actors will have scripts in their hands, but they are going to do some of the blocking. And it is a very reputable company. They do great shows. So excited to have them do this December show. And I believe they've got 2 shows planned in the spring. So if you can't make that one because the holiday season can get complicated. So that's in the rec report. And then, of course, there's the photos of the Hope Garden bench. So I'm not sure if you all saw that. It's a very nice photo, and you have to imagine it because the tulips are all planted around those green plants you see there. So if you just picture that whole area covered with yellow tulips, which is what we're looking forward to in the spring. So that's a really nice article. And then I have to shout out our public services staff again for being amazing. They don't have a lot in the report this time, but if you notice at the Pine Valley Gym, our staff reported that there was a raised tile. And a lot of times something like that can end up not being a priority for anybody, but they got right out there. They pulled it out because they thought, oh, someone's gonna trip on this, someone's gonna cut their foot. They individually cut the tiles out and then relayed the tile. And they have that skill and ability on staff, which is just kind of exciting. I mean, we all do home projects, but I think laying a floor like that is complicated. So I think Public Services needs a quick shout out on that. So rec report's always got great information in it. If there's a question you have, I'm happy to answer it for you.
I don't have a question, but I also really liked the Elderwise, Cal High School Elderwise Society that came and interviewed the seniors for a
Yeah,
book. I
I
thought that was
know.
super cool. And I also loved the olive trees and making olive oil at Crow Canyon Gardens.
Gardens.
Very cool. So,
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, that's another, there's so many great programs going on all the time. And so that rec report is a great resource. So, you know, if you didn't get a chance to read it for a given meeting, go back and read them. And as you back up, you'll find out all kinds of interesting things.
And I got to, what we do with Porcelain Farms, I know it comes in every report, there's always something going on there, you know, if you're bored. Good Porcelain Farms, there's
Yeah.
always something going on that's fun, so, and it's great.
And if I could just give one more shout out to the staff for the Hope Garden. It was a wonderful event. Thank you, Kathy and Brad and Becky in particular. I mean, we had probably 80 to 100 people show up, and it was incredible. Take a look at your next issue if you get West San Ramon magazine. There's going to be a big spread about the Hope Garden, and they interviewed the family, so it's going to be pretty heart-wrenching, actually. But I've gone by and looked, you know, sort of post-mortem since we did all the tulip planting and stuff, and it was kind of a mess when we left it, but it's cleaned up real nice. So thank you all for everything you did. It was an amazing way to honor families down through a horrific tragedy. So I can't say enough about what this city is all about and what the staff embodies. So thank you. Thanks, Captain.
And I also like to thank us city staff for the successfully doing the Bah Humbug run and walk. I mean, few of us were there. It was an amazingly well organized and done. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. Kids had a lot of fun with the dress up and everything. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Keith, and of course, Mike isn't here. And
Yep.
actually, these guys were all
Yep.
out there too. So
Yeah. Yeah. It was a big event. Yeah. Yeah. And we had like what, 500 to 600 participants, right? So that is, yeah. Good.
And just to mention, I know I saw Adam there at Nick Carter. It was close to a sellout and a very enthusiastic crowd. There were a whole bunch of Backstreet Boy groupies there, let me tell you. And was very well received and very well done.
All right. Is it okay? All right. So let's coming to item number 9, committee liaison reports and announcements. Okay, who wants to go first? Maybe you can start from there.
Sure.
Our student commissioner.
Yeah, sure. So we had our teen council meeting yesterday, and the first thing we talked about is Adam, who is here right now. He gave us a presentation on like what's going on with the art center right now. So we kind of just learned about more of the programs that they offer, and we offered a lot of insight, mainly revolving like marketing and how to really get the information out to teens. So we kind of just created a process for how the teen council is going to take future action within spreading the information in our school districts. We also plan on including our ambassador program within that. So really getting this information out to middle schools as well, because of course there are so many opportunities from the art center. It's just a matter of making people know about them. After that, we had like a short discussion about what we want to do with our wish tree. So we have our wish tree, but we've been struggling to get kind of like engagement within that. So we're kind of transferring more to a digital route with that. So doing more polls on our Instagram stories, and then possibly doing things at our schools. In the past, we've done activities at our school where people would write what they would want on the wish tree, and then we would go hang it up on the wish tree. So really focusing on things like that, because we know a lot of people aren't going to come to the tree and really write the note there. So just finding ways we can go to them to get the information. And then lastly, we had an update from our ambassador program. So basically right now they're working on, they're in groups and they're working on creating recommendations for the teen council and for our city. But these are mainly revolving around things like littering and things that we can actually implement, because in the past we've had issues with not really being able to implement what the ambassadors want to have. So really taking a look at our teen council goals and ensuring that the ambassadors are really trying to hit those goals. And then in the future, they're going to continue to build up on these and then present them at one of the teen council meetings.
Thank you. All right, next we go with Commissioner Levy.
Sure. I don't really have anything to report because I was unable to attend that teen council meeting, so I'm very glad the student commissioner went first. Yeah, there haven't been any other meetings. I did the Bah Humbug run, as Chair Mitra said earlier. It was a great event. So that's all I got.
All right. Okay, Commissioner Osler.
All righty. So last night, I think most of us were present at the city council meeting. Mayor Hudson and Vice Mayor Perkins, it was their last meeting, and so they had a send off for them. It was really a lovely evening and very well done. And I even had some tears. It was very touching. We also swore in our new mayor, Mark Armstrong, our new city council member, Robert Jouinot, I think is how you pronounce it. Be learning that. And then Sridhar Varos is also our council member. Open Space Advisory Committee, I led the hike with Bob Peoples on November 9th at Tassajara Ridge. Super fun hike. If you haven't ever done it, ask me about it. I'll be happy to meet you there. It's beautiful. We had about 28 people in attendance, so it was very well attended. I also want to give a big shout out to our Vice Chair, Steve Breed. Yep. He won the Citizen of the Year award for the WOW Awards, put on by the Chamber of Commerce for the city of San Ramon. And that was a lovely event as well. And I'm really proud of you, Steve.
Thank you.
Great job. Yeah. And the Open Space Advisory Committee meeting was last month, November was the date. I remember the date. Here it is, November 18th. And on our agenda, we kind of rearranged the order of things, but we want to review our committee's annual report and goals for 2025. So that took a bit of discussion. And then we talked about our upcoming winter and spring committee events. So we have some new hikes coming up, and a non-hiking event will be in February. So I'll remind you guys about that in January. And then we talked about the Trails and Open Space webpage and the mobile app update. Jessica Reber presented on that. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to some Commissioner Dollich.
Oh, Arts Advisory, Adam. So we had a couple of conversations, several of them regarding evaluating artists to participate in the mural project, which would be for the stairway in the Doherty Station Community Arts Center. And also we looked at the artist selection for the Art and Wind Festival coming up, and then had a draft of the annual report for the Arts Advisory Committee. And I'm sticking with that.
Thank you. All right, Vice Chair Greg.
All right, so I had two reports actually. I have the second city council. So by the way, thank you, Mr. Roslin. That was nice of you to say. They had two main topics. One, Heidi, or the Chamber of Commerce, maybe happened to have their annual report to the city council, which I think is cool that we do that.
Yeah.
I did not know we did that. So, Terry's a president, but anyways, Heidi Lee Kennison gave the annual report to the council, and I thought she did a great job. And then the other thing is they had a resolution for all the salary and benefits, and you're happy to go pull that up if you want to see how the salary and benefits change. So, so that was kind of a conversation. So, okay. The other thing was user group, and I did not attend because I was with you on at the WOW event. So kind of got the agenda and talked to Brad a little bit about kind of the big topics. The big thing on user groups is, and I would tell you that what I think the city does a really nice job with user groups on talking about the fields and how they feel about the fields and what can we do better on the fields. And Public Works sits there and takes feedback, and little we know, I mean, I'm sure you drive around and see this field's closed. A lot of it's so they can get the pitches right out of the pitch mound. So I think that we as a city do a really nice job to listen on what we can do better. And a lot of it, like with some of our Ridge in, they're talking about netting and how we can, meet their needs. And their big fee increase of $1. So that's another thing I said. We as a city do, since it's of the amount of fees. I think we as a city do a really nice job working with our users to make our fields affordable. I'm sure some user groups don't feel that way, but if you look at, where we compete and our price increase of $1 is not that big of a deal. And then also talk about reservation for permits. So those are kind of the big highlights besides talking about the special event permit. So as we go through our changes, Jody and team share that with the user group and help them navigate our system. So we're very customer centric for a pretty big group that pays us a lot of money to use our fields. So they're doing a nice job. What I heard and know, if I'm missing anything. Terry, you're up.
I have no liaison reports, but I wanted to echo Julia's comments and congratulate Steve. Well deserved.
Thanks, Terry. That's
Citizen
nice.
year. It was just I thought it was a wonderful event. Many of us were there. It was a packed house, and I think it was just a nice way to welcome in the holiday season and recognize some well deserved awards. Recognition. So yeah, it was a fun night and
No tree issues either.
no tree issues. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be taking over as the chair of the board for the Chamber of Commerce, which is kind of I don't know why.
Me no.
It's awesome. I did great. You do great.
So, but it just to me, it just is testament to how well everyone works together in this community, right? I mean, from the business community to the education side to to government. I mean, it's just it's great to be a part of. So yeah, happy to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Just to, I was present on that WOW event and just wanted to congratulate both Steve as well as Terry being the president and you being owning
Thanks, partner.
that the man award.
It's the man.
So thank you, both of them for their service. And I had the privilege to present the teen award as well. So yeah, thank you.
Can I just comment on that? Because the same young man.
Yeah, he was it.
Won that award and he was just standing up there so cool,
Yeah.
right? He was just like, don't bother me.
Hmm.
And we're like, dude, you rocked it. And then he gets up there and he starts talking about, it, looks at his mom and he
Good.
just like,
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
I looked at Kathy and started doing that.
Yeah, it was emotion. And standing behind him when he's going through that emotion was something new experience. Yeah, exactly. So that's that. 5th November, Planning Commission meeting was cancelled. 19th November, there are 2 public hearings. One was AT&T Crow Canyon Monopole and the City Walk Bishop Ranch A1 Neighborhood Park discussions on that. And there was one non-public hearing. It's actually 2. There are 2 study sessions. One is Bishop Ranch with 2 residential development study session and climate action plan. So those are pretty discussed on that. I had to go through them a little bit more, but those are the things discussed in that meeting. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for shirking the
Thank
Brett
you.
thing?
Yeah.
Gonna hang that on chain.
Wait, what'd you get? I didn't get that.
What?
What'd you get? What's that little thing?
The ball.
Oh, I got that.
So I'd say you're at the Ridge. My first year missing it. Wow.
You give away 500. You give away 500.
What's going on?
No,
You sit closer to Kathy. The gifts get better.
I got the Apple. I got the headset. All right. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Kathy, anything on that? All right. We will adjourn as of 9:14 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good
Nice
night.
job.